Welcome back to What Would It Cost? Today's episode is all about all things real estate and divorce law. You bought a shed in Windsor?
You made money in the housing market last year? No way.
Anything you shot on, you would have made on.
What would it cost?
That's the $1 million question. You're looking at North Bay now is at $1 million. I don't even think they hand you the keys anymore. What is it going to cost?
How much? Hi, my name's Nicholas Regina.
My name's Michael Sakuro.
And you're listening to
What Would It Cost?
Is that good?
My name's Michael Sakuro, and I'm the president and founder of Spark Financial Group.
My name's Nicholas Regina, and I'm the CEO and founder of Spark Financial Group.
Today we want to welcome our guest, Paul Mazzeo from Mazzeo Law. How's it going, Paul?
Good. How you guys doing?
Good. We're excited to have you on here.
Thank you very much for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, we're excited to get into the nitty-gritty of real estate law and divorce law, because it's a lot of the time we find it's the mortgage is done, the purchase is done, and people think, okay, we're over the hurdle, but then they don't realize that last most important touch is the registration of that mortgage and the transfer of title of the new property.
Yeah.
So we're excited to get into that.
Closing the transaction, making it happen. That's where we come in.
Exactly.
To kind of finish things off after you guys have done the hard work leading up to that.
Right. It's the fourth quarter of the transaction.
Right.
Making it official.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So run us through that. What's that look like? So after we're approved with the lender, I put your information in, and they tell us we're sending instructions to the solicitor. So what's the receiving on that? What's the next steps?
Yes.
How long does that take?
So that's the kickoff for us, really. Whether it be a purchase, a refinance transaction, the mortgage instructions from the lender is where things kind of kick off for us. And so we get them, and they set out exactly what it is that they need as requirements from our client, who's the borrower.
Yeah.
We work through that, essentially, and we work through that towards a closing date. We put everything together necessary to satisfy the lender that they can then go ahead and give people money.
Yeah, and it's crucial that the brokers and the lawyers that they're working with have a solid relationship and are able to really make that client, feel safe and understand that we're one together, essentially, in a nutshell, and bring them to the finish line seamlessly, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it also helps a lot of the stuff that the lender asks us to put together as a lawyer. It's stuff that people like you guys would have already gotten from them, IDs and different things like that. So if that relationship exists, that flow of communication exists, then we can chop a bunch of things off our list right away just by communicating with you, right? And saving the client the extra legwork, which is part of the service, is trying to take as much responsibility and then stuff off their shoulders as possible.
Yeah. So Paul, walk us through what it would cost when a client's finished up with you, whether they're dealing with an A, a B, a private lender. What does that transaction cost them in total? Yeah.
So this again, it kind of comes in two different forms. When I'm getting instructions, it's either in connection with a refinance or a purchase, right? So for a refinance transaction, there's a fee associated. That's the legal fee, and that's, I think, $1,000 is what we charge. Don't quote me on it though. Aside from that, disbursements. Any expenses we take on as a law firm out of pocket, we charge back to the client for registration of the mortgage. So there's a ministry fee associated with that. Any searches we got to do. So all told, you're with tax and all, you're in the range of $2,000 approximately when you have those the fees plus the disbursements all together.
Yeah, and you guys are really, really fair with your pricing in regards to your firm and how you've retrofitted the space and how beautiful it is, and your staff that are there and work for you. You could tell they're all happy and it's an upbeat environment. So you must be paying them well, right? And then and then yourself and Snea just really showing that white glove service to the clients and sticking with them to the finish line, and your time being worth money. So all in all, you guys have done a fantastic job for our clients, and everyone has been okay with the pricing and felt that it was very fair, right?
Yeah. Thank you. Very nice of you to say. I'm going to make sure we get sound bites for our Instagram page from all the pricing and it being fair, because I'm sure not everyone always feels that way. Legal fees is one of those necessary evils sometimes, and then the soundbite about the employees. I'm gonna play that one in the office on the PA. But thank you for all the kind words. That's all really nice of you to say.
No, absolutely.
And we do our best, both in terms of making sure our clients are happy, feel like there's value for the service provided, doing the job right, and making sure we have an office that's a nice place to work.
Yeah. For
'Cause
sure.
that's the most important for them when the transaction's over. They went through, okay, here's the real estate. I put my deposit. Now here's my mortgage. I put my down payment. Here's my fees. This is what's going to cost me. And then the last part's just tying it off with the real estate. So yeah, you want to make it that seamless transaction for them. So it's not like they're, really feeling it on the way out after. It's just completed. Here's your keys. If they're purchasing, or here's your refinance. Now let's move on to the next and make something happen with that refinance, or, welcome to your new home.
Exactly.
Yeah. And on to the very interesting part about what you practice there at Mazzeo Law, the divorce law. It was something where I was listening to a podcast and I was mowing my lawn actually. And the podcast was I Love Mortgage Brokering, right? Which Michael put me onto. And in one of his episodes, he was talking about, one of the brokers was talking about how he just focuses on divorces and is the broker for those deals and has divorce lawyers that he works with as a referral source, right? So I had an epiphany. I said, I gotta go see Paul on Monday, right? Like, he's a divorce lawyer, because we had most recently met and been introduced, right, and hit it off and clicked like we had knew each other for 100 years. So I felt very comfortable with you, and I said, I gotta go talk to Paulie and see what this is all about, because essentially there's two transactions in every divorce, right? There's someone coming off title, looking to go and purchase another property, and then there's so the refinance there, and then a purchase, right? 2 in 1 at a minimum for the most part, right? So I was super excited, and I couldn't wait to tell Michael. And then I barged into your office on Monday, and I sat in front of you. I said, Paulie, I said, what's going on with all this, right? And then you calmed me down and walked me through, right, what it's all about. And bring us through a little bit about what that division consists of, and what you see on a day-to-day, and how that really ties itself into the real estate side of things, and then most importantly, what it would cost, right?
Of course. Yeah, it's definitely as far as topic of conversation goes, I guess it's the part of my practice that people feel maybe is sexier to talk about, or juicier stories. It really isn't like that in practice, but we started out just as a family law firm, and that was in 2011 when I started my firm. The real estate, because there is, like you're saying, there's so much integration between what happens when people separate and real estate transactions that come up in estate planning. So those parts of my practice got introduced in 2014, and they've grown along with it. But the family law stuff, to get to your, I guess the what would it cost thing, very, very hard to say, man. Almost impossible to say. It's all charged hourly, different than a real estate transaction where it's like someone's saying they're doing a purchase and I can say $1,200 is my legal fee.
Right.
And that's it. 'Cause we've built in how much time is typical in a purchase transaction. We can quote that flat fee.
Right.
For family law, we charge hourly because they can go in 100 different directions. People could come to me and say, we've basically agreed on everything about how this is going to go. We just want a separation agreement papered. One end of the spectrum. The other end of the spectrum could be, we can't agree on the color of the sky today. And, I'm now going to court, and oftentimes in those situations, and court attending. Is that a cat? Is there a cat? I thought that was your stomach. Oh shit. But yeah, if we go to court, we could have to attend multiple times. Every court attendance takes time while you're there, time preparing, and all that's chargeable. So I've had people spend as little as, let's say $4,000 or $5,000 to complete a separation and divorce, and I've had people spend in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. So what could it cost question is a hard one to answer with a huge range.
Yeah. And you were telling me at one point too, you there, like there's items that go into the charge out. So for instance, you send a letter to the opposing party, right? And that letter can consist of, whatever message that your client wants to give to them, and what like something like that, an item like that. What's the cost of that, or the little items in between?
Depends on the length of the letter, but Monday mornings. Monday mornings
are page.
It's true. We run a timer, right? I have a timer on our accounting software. Run the timer, and I type my letter, and when I'm done, I close the timer, right? So some letters take me 3 minutes to write. Some take me 3 hours. You never know, right? It depends
right.
how much is involved. But
Okay.
yeah, it's like, I mean, that is the reality in family law. It's there's a lot of back and forth, and sometimes it's on things that are, I don't know, if you're looking at the world of objectively, you think, maybe doesn't make the most sense to be fighting about this right now, but
Right.
it's so much tied up into a relationship breaking down. It's so emotionally loaded that
Right.
people sometimes can't see beyond that. This is why we're here. We're supposed to approach things without emotion, right?
Yeah.
As lawyers for these people going through.
Absolutely.
Monday mornings, man, I'm in the office and I'm getting all the requests to send out those nasty letters because stupid shit happened over the weekend, and I'm firing off letters. Your client did this, your client did that. I spend most of my Mondays doing that.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Right after the weekend. Yeah.
They go out on a Friday night and cause trouble on Saturday,
Have a
Sunday.
few bevies and cause a little bit of a shit show.
And then,
funny.
talking about coming off or nearing the end of this pandemic is what it seems. And we've talked about it before, how it's streamlined both the mortgage process and the legal process. So talk to us about that, because I know we were talking in prior transactions how it's funny enough, this pandemic has actually helped us streamline to make it faster. We're doing electronic signatures, you're doing electronic signings, people don't have to come in anymore. So explain a bit about that, like what a client could expect now that instead of having the traditional way, come to you, sign, grab the keys.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Efficiency.
I haven't seen keys in my office for like 2 years. Which is obviously very unusual for real estate stuff. It's all lockbox, and we just get a lockbox code now.
Right.
And isn't that better than as opposed to somebody paying a courier to send me keys and then keys are at the office? Where are the keys? They're on their way. Where'd you put them? Right. It's much easier this way. And so COVID's changed. And so if you want to see silver linings in obviously a really shitty thing that we all went through, but it's changed things in our industry and it made us more efficient. It allowed for electronic signatures, whereas that was completely not a question before 2 years ago. Zoom meetings, I guess it makes sense that we always could have done, and we just never did. Nobody ever thought of it. I'd never heard of Zoom prior to 2 years ago. Right. So that and that's allowed me to represent people from all over Ontario. I'm licensed only in Ontario, but and I've got clients in Ottawa, and I've got it's different. Whereas before, geographical restriction, people would think I can't get to my lawyer's office if he's in Vaughan and I'm in Ottawa, but now that's not really even a consideration. And then the other thing, the other big thing for us when it goes back to the family law, like filing things with our court, we do so electronically now. That's okay. Whereas before, I was a process server that would come to my office, pick things up, drive to Newmarket where our York Region Court is, and file things at a filing officer. So there's a lineup there, added expense for my client for a process server where they're already getting, going through a situation that's costing them money, having to pay a lawyer that's costing them money. It's added expense. Whereas now we just PDF and click and send, and it's so there's been a lot of positive advancement in our industry. I hope. I can't imagine that we would change back now, but I hope they keep up, and I hope our systems, our government systems, keep up with the technology so we can implement all this stuff right.
Yeah, absolutely, because it's like you said, like even going right down to the keys. Law office closes at, let's say, like 5 o'clock. Clients finishing work. It's like they bought this new house now. They can't wait. They gotta wait till tomorrow morning to come see you.
And contractors are always starting at 5:30 that day.
Exactly.
My contractors are starting tonight.
Exactly. I had a client actually tell me once that that was the issue. It was a Friday and his lawyer had closed at 3 o'clock. And he was up in like Barrie area, and the lawyer was downtown. And he told me, he's like, I had the contractors come in Saturday. He actually broke his door down. He's like, I bought the house. The first thing I did was kick in the door. Couldn't get the keys.
He's doing a demo anyway. Put up a piece of plywood.
But to go to your point of streamline, it's like, why do you have to courier the keys and then worry about having to hand them over? So it's like you said, the silver lining to come out of this pandemic.
For sure.
Beautiful in regards to the efficiency aspect. Any business owner will look at a Zoom or a Google Hangout and they'll say, we're able to streamline like that, and it brings down the overhead. Hey, why not get used to it? And going to your point, we didn't even know what Zoom was 2.5, 3 years ago. But this had, and even though it had existed and there was other programs like it that had existed, it kind of forced us all to get on to the the program and work.
Yep.
Within it. So it was, looking at it from underneath the optimistic lens, we like to say, right? When it comes to the pandemic on an overall, and that one being one of the great things that came out of it, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So given now the efficiency of technology and we streamlined it, the prices, they seem to still stay consistent. So what's like the rebuttal to that if the client asks you, like there's those clients that are going to say, well, you're sending over the letter now electronically versus having someone come to pick it up and drive it there. So why is my cost the same? Because a lot of people don't understand the little intricacies behind it, and
Right.
adapting to new technology, the cost of that.
Legal fees it's a function of, as a service provider, we're selling time primarily. So
Right.
the amount of time that we spend really doesn't change. Whether we're meeting in person or by Zoom, it's still the meeting. And
Right.
it is also a function of liability. There's a certain threshold below which it really doesn't make sense to get involved in the transaction
Right.
as a lawyer, because if something is to go wrong with anything, it's always your ass on the line as the lawyer. So
Yeah.
there is a certain amount of money below which it doesn't really make sense to really do the work, unfortunately.
Yeah, time is money.
That's a
in
reality
your business. Yeah.
Yeah, so talking about going into COVID and the pandemic, talk about how that's changed, within your industry and what you've seen more of, what you've seen less of, and just
They've changed maybe the company's business plan around it, let's say.
Yeah, I mean we've gotten like way busier in the
Yeah.
last couple of years, and part of that was I guess some of the firm's natural growth, but I do think with what's happened in the world the last couple of years, I do think there's been more work for our areas of practice.
Yeah.
I've said this to people before. This is like one of the lines I've been using here. But as the world gets more fucked up, there's more stuff for us to do.
Yeah.
Right.
And especially in the family law world, unfortunately. Yeah. And initially you were hearing reports. There were reports coming out of France, I think, in China, about how domestic violence had gone up, sadly, and divorce rates had increased, and that was in the beginning of the pandemic. And then there was a very prominent family lawyer in Ontario who wrote an article to say, be ready, family law lawyers, a tidal wave is coming. And initially, I'm going to say in 2020, I didn't really notice much of difference. Early 2021, and then then tidal wave did come, and
Right.
it's been crazy busy in terms of, and it's it's a sad reality of it, and that's why I don't. People say, "What are your funny divorce stories?" I never really look at it that way. It's obviously a very very sensitive topic. It's a sad thing for people to have to go through, and the way. The other thing people tell me is, how do you practice in that area? There's so many areas in law in which you could practice that aren't so emotionally charged and have to deal
Right.
with this bullshit like this. But
Yeah.
I like it, and I think I'm doing a good job if I'm trying to look at it from a sympathetic lens and help people, right? Help people out of bad relationships, help people create two happy households as opposed to one unhappy one. It's better for kids. It's better for people, mental health and stuff like that. So, so there's been more of it, which is sad, and just I guess more people that we can help.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a great way to look at it.
Yeah, very cool perspective on that. That's awesome.
Yeah, thanks.
Again, looking at it from the optimistic standpoint.
I'm an optimistic guy.
Yeah.
I try to keep it there, man. It's too easy to go the other way.
Just wanted to thank you for giving us your time today and coming on the podcast and letting us sit you down and ask you all these questions. We know you're a busy man and you have a lot of people to delegate to and deal with. So again, tip my hat to you. Thank you very much, and it's been awesome thus far working with you and having the relationship that we do.
Yeah, my absolute pleasure. I appreciate you guys inviting me to do this, taking me a little bit out of my comfort zone, but I enjoy it, and it's been awesome working with you guys too. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you again for tuning into another episode of What Would It Cost? Be sure to check us out on all your favorite streaming platforms. Check us out on YouTube to watch the video. Be sure to like, follow, and share, and we'll see you next week.
Next on What Would It Cost?
Why have a product with the bank, which is creditor insurance, that protects the bank's debts when you can have a life insurance policy that not only protects your debts with the bank or any debts you may have, but you're also protecting your family at the same time? And unfortunately, people are not given the education on this.
Yeah.
And they don't know better. Whatever you put in for that 20 years, okay, that money will be there at the end of that term, that 20 years.
You feel like standing on top of a building and saying to everyone, you're like, you need to know this.